Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take the source materials you're exploring and really pull out the core insights you need. I'm your host, Shadow Walker.
And I'm Nightsong.
Today, we're heading into the world of Pathfinder. Specifically, we're looking at the Kingmaker adventure path. So if you're maybe thinking about jumping into this campaign, this deep dive should give you a really solid idea of, what's ahead, the world, the characters, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Kingmaker's pretty unique. It's not just your standard dungeon crawl. It's about carving out your own space in the wild, yeah? Building a kingdom, dealing with politics.
Right.
We've gone through the source stuff to highlight, well, what we think are the key things to keep in mind.
Okay, let's get into it then, starting with the setting. Where does Kingmaker kick off?
That's Brevoy, right?
That's right, Brevoy. It's got this this sense of history, especially with the Aldori Sword Lords.
Ah, sword lords. Yeah, and what's interesting isn't just that they're good fighters. It's this specific focus on the Aldori dueling sword. It's like it's part of their whole identity up there.
So it's a cultural thing as much as a fighting style.
Definitely. It makes you wonder, how that focus on individual dueling fits with, well, everything else. Teamwork, politics.
Good point. And for players, if your character is from the Broken Lands, which includes Brevoy, there's an option for that, isn't there? The Aldori Duelist dedication.
Yeah. That dedication, it's basically specialized training. It ties you straight into that Brevoy tradition, gives you the sword proficiency, other duelist perks.
Okay.
But while Brevoy has this strong Aldori thing going on, the sources kind of hint it's not all stable. Yeah, like there might be some underlying tensions, maybe some power shifts coming, which, could be an opportunity for adventurers.
Right. Sets a potentially interesting backdrop beyond just exploring ruins. So, okay, moving south from Brevoy, we hit the River Kingdoms. Very different vibe, I gather.
Oh, completely different. The River Kingdoms are like the definition of the Broken Lands. Think lots of small kingdoms constantly popping up, falling apart, very independent, very short-lived sometimes.
Sounds chaotic.
It is. That's kind of the point. It's volatile, always changing, which means, well, opportunity knocks, but so does danger. If you're looking to build something yourself, that chaos is kind of your opening.
And there's even a character background for that exact idea, right? The aspiring river monarch.
Yep. Tailor-made for someone planning to become a ruler in that messy environment.
Okay. And what about geography? Anything key there?
Well, in the eastern part, the Selin River is huge. It's a major trade route, like the main artery through there.
So important economically.
Hugely. Control the river, or even just access. That's a big deal for any kingdom trying to get established.
And the river kingdoms aren't totally isolated either, are they? There's mention of conflict?
Right. With Kyonin, the elven nation to the east, apparently there's friction over an old elven ruin called Seven Arches.
Ah, interesting. So that could pull players into diplomacy or maybe even fighting.
Exactly. It adds another whole layer.
Wow.
And just to show it's possible for locals to rise up, the sources mention a place called Crossroads down south.
Okay.
Yeah, apparently the people there successfully, took control. It's kind of a small example of what the players might achieve in Kingmaker.
Gotcha. So all that context, Brevoy, the River Kingdoms, leads us to the main stage. The Stolen Lands.
The Stolen Lands. Yep, the name says it all, really. It's the chunk of wilderness inside the River Kingdoms that nobody really claims.
Unsettled frontier.
Exactly. Ready for exploring, settling, and facing whatever dangers are lurking out there. It's your canvas, basically. Your actions there will shape the place.
Okay, so we have the setting. Let's talk characters.
Yeah.
Early on, it's all about surviving that wilderness, right? Exploration. What helps there?
Yeah, initially you absolutely need people who can handle the wild. Survival skills are key. Think about backgrounds like Storm Survivor.
Storm Survivor? Sounds like maybe from the coast?
Yeah, often associated with the sea, but it gives you survival and weather lore. Perfect for someone used to tough environments, even if it's not the woods originally. Shows adaptability.
That's a good one. What about specific ancestries or other backgrounds?
Well, if you're playing a Leshy, the plant folk, backgrounds like hunter or scout seem like a really natural fit. They're already connected to nature.
Makes sense.
And don't overlook lizard folk. They get natural attacks, like claws, which can be handy early. Plus, they might know languages like Aquan or Sylvan. Useful for interacting with, well, weird wilderness stuff.
So more than just fighting skills needed.
Oh, definitely. You need trackers, foragers, people who know the land, survival skill, nature lore, plant lore, animal lore. All that stuff is going to be gold.
And dealing with hazards, too, presumably, like bad weather, maybe traps.
Absolutely. Navigating tough terrain, spotting natural dangers, just being resilient enough to push through harsh conditions. That's crucial for success when you're first mapping out the stolen lands. It's not just about the monsters you fight.
Okay, but Kingmaker isn't just exploring forever. Eventually, you're meant to build a kingdom, rule it. How does the focus shift for characters then?
Right, so later on, the skills you need start to change. Or, well, different skills become more important. Community building, diplomacy, management.
Like, what sort of options support that?
Well, there's a rank from the Bean Academy called aspirant. Their whole thing is public service, looking after a community's needs. That mindset is perfect for a leader.
I see. So less about personal survival, more about the group, the community.
Exactly. And thinking practically, the sources mention a kingdom stat called scholarship, specifically culture.
Okay.
So characters interested in research, knowledge, education, they can directly boost that aspect of your kingdom. Training people, setting up libraries, that kind of thing.
And the economy must be vital, too.
Oh, for sure. You'll make economy checks for the kingdom. So characters with skills in, say, crafting, trade, resource management, they become absolutely essential to keep things running, make sure the kingdom prospers.
You mentioned that aspiring river monarch background earlier. Does it suggest specific stats?
Yeah, it points towards needing good wisdom or charisma for leadership roles. Makes sense, right? Good judgment, inspiring people.
Definitely. And as the kingdom grows, you'll interact with neighbors.
Which is where diplomacy shines. You absolutely need characters who can negotiate, smooth things over, build alliances. That can be the difference between peace and, well, expensive wars.
Kingdoms probably face internal issues too, events.
The sources mention kingdom events, good and bad. You need people who can understand what's happening and figure out how to handle it effectively. Keeps things stable.
And what if diplomacy fails? Or someone just decides they want your land?
Then you need defense. Characters with martial skills are still vital, but also maybe someone with a strategic mind. You'll manage armies, basic ones, maybe specialized ones later. Tactics become important.
Right. Any other connections that might help?
Well, maybe someone tied to an organization, like the Pathfinder Society. They value cooperation, exploration, could bring good leadership skills, or even allies.
So hearing all this, it really sounds like you can't just have a party of, say, all fighters or all wizards.
No way. That's the core message, really. A balanced party is crucial for Kingmaker. You need that mix of skills.
Because the challenges change so much.
Exactly. You need wilderness skills early, then social and management skills later. Plus, combat skills throughout. Everyone brings something different to the table at different times.
The explorer keeps you alive at first, the diplomat saves you later.
Precisely. Every class, every background, it offers a different way to solve problems.
So when you're making your characters, you should think beyond just the first few adventures. Think about the long game.
Definitely.
Yeah.
How will this character contribute not just to surviving the next fight, but to, building trade routes, negotiating with nobles, maybe leading troops? All those skills can end up being vital.
Okay, so wrapping up our deep dive here, Kingmaker takes you to the Stolen Lands, this wild frontier in the chaotic river kingdoms.
And your goal is ultimately to carve out your own kingdom, build it up, rule it.
Against the backdrop of places like Brevoy, with its own traditions, like those Aldori sword lords. It's a mix of established stuff and raw frontier.
It really is.
So maybe our final thought for you is this. As you're thinking about your Kingmaker character, don't just focus on surviving the wilderness, important as that is early on.
Yeah, think bigger, think long term. What kind of kingdom do you want to build? And what role will your character play in making that happen? What kind of ruler or key figure will you become?